Thank you, everyone. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks all of you for being here. So just a little bit about Alaska Airlines. How many of you are frequent members, travelers? Okay, good. So with the acquisition of Virgin America, Alaska is now the fifth largest airline in North America. And we have 115 destinations that we fly to in the US, Mexico, Canada, and Costa Rica. And with our global partners, you can actually get to about 900 destinations around the world. So we're very excited. The merger work is, according to our CEO, 85% done, which means it's really 60-some% done from a technology point of view. But I've had the honor of being in this role for about a year and a half. I moved to Seattle for it, so hope to make some great connections today. And I've been at the intersection of airlines and technology my whole life, my whole career. And very excited to be at Alaska. Love the company, the culture, and the people that I get to work with every day.
Charu, what are some of the, key changing business trends in the airlines industry, and how is Alaska trying to cope up with it?
Yeah, Malay, when you actually look at the airline industry, I feel like it's a mix of industries. And, our website, our airports, our in-flight, our retail. And our airline operations are our logistics business. And our maintenance and engineering is kind of our manufacturing business. So it's really, I think the industry is being shaped by the broader ecosystem. And what's happening in these other industries is actually setting expectations of what people want out of the airline industry. So when customers come shopping, right, they're coming from their retail informs what they're expecting. They want it to be easy. They want it to be available, choices available, instant pricing, targeted to them. When they're at the airport, they want an airport experience that's maybe like, being in a shopping mall or being at your favorite Whole Foods store. When you're in flight and you're doing your own personal time, maybe it is like being at a Starbucks, you're enjoying your coffee and the Wi-Fi works great. In the hospitality, right, this for service. So if you take, for example, Four Seasons, right, they expect you to know them, to greet you and welcome you by name when you come back, and be proactive. And then above all, they're looking for a seamless sort of transaction, a seamless experience across whether it's mobile or digital or when they show up at the airport. And also a seamless transition between sort of leaving work or home, on the ground, when they get to the airport, they get in the air, and then they get to their destination. So do some of you guys see yourselves that way? Do you want all of those things? So the challenge is, how do you do that, right? How do you give a customer all of that and still manage the business demands of the business and not to put too much onerous on our frontline employees? And I think that's where technology comes in. And when you look at a lot of industries, the disruption has really come from technology-based industries that didn't exist 10, 15, 20 years ago, right? The Airbnbs, the Ubers, the Netflixes, and so the incumbents are now trying to disrupt themselves, which is really good. And I think they have a strong case because they own the data and they have a lot of talent. So you think that would work out really well. And so what Alaska is really doing about it, and the disruption has always come from a point of friction. Whether you knew it or not, the innovation always came into attack a point of friction. So we're looking at what are our points of friction or pain points? So when you go to the airport, dropping your bags off, going through security, boarding. So how do we make, what should our baggage experience look like? What's our airport experience look like? How do we give you information on flights and predictive information on flight delays? When there's irregular operations, how do we make it a hassle-free experience, and then you feel like you've been taken care of versus sort of something's happened to you. So all of the consumer expectations in your other parts of your life are really impacting kind of what you expect from an airline. So we have to be all of that to our guests, and it's a very interesting problem, and we're using a lot of technology and other things to attack that.
Okay. So next question is going to be common for all three of you because it could have a little variation for respective industry, respective companies and the business plans that you guys have. See, any such change requires a whole amount of packaging, marketing, repositioning and stuff. So how are you working on packaging and marketing in your respective companies to respond to these changes? Let's start with you, Charu.
Okay, so I think for us, it's really defining what is our brand and what do we stand for, and what is our advantage, and which is low fares, great value, generous mileage plan, genuine caring service, and a West Coast vibe, because you can fly the most out of the West Coast on Alaska now. So the challenge is, how do you take that and apply that to 44 million customers that are looking for different things as they're on different parts of the travel experience. So if they're traveling for leisure, they want different things. If they're traveling for business, they want different things. So we're really targeting our marketing and personalization based on what kind of travel that they're going to be doing. And then technology and sustainability and environment is something our guests are very passionate about. So we're using that as a point of connecting with them. And you know, every airline has the utility. They can fly you anywhere. We can fly you to places. But we are really trying to balance that functional utility with that emotional connection so that we're a brand that the people want to associate with, right? And that's really through you know, getting out in the community, our sponsorships, and really our marketing that's targeted to that.
Very good. But you know, I must give you this feedback as a 75K and nearly 1 million miles on Alaska.
Two of you, wow.
They were for a long time serving Glenlivet. And I thought this is one airline, that's why I continued to be with them. But they've moved to Dewars now. So, you know, customer experience.
Yeah, we need that personalization to know just to have it for you.
CHARU, so you know, customer experience, personalization, particularly with segregated technologies and sub-industries within, and you being the CIO. I'm assuming it's an easy job, exciting job.
Piece of cake.
How as a CIO do you see technology playing a role enhancing and accelerating some of the programs that you're trying to drive? You mentioned about airport experience, security experience, boarding experience, baggage experience.
Yeah, so I would say we're looking both at where disruption could come from, because it has come to other industries, and is it going to come from a distribution side of the house? Is it going to come from you know, the Hyperloop or some other means of transportation? And just as Marriott is a very personal experience, the airline experience is actually a very trusted experience. I mean, people trust an airline and get on that plane. And so when we look at disruption, we're looking at, so let's say Expedia or Amazon or Google decide to get into this business, then how do you build upon that trust that people put into you and that guest experience and personalization to really break that to say they still want to come to you as the airline versus go to somewhere else? So, you know, our website, our mobile, more and more functionality, more self-service for people that want to do self-service, but our agents are there for people that don't. We're the only airline actually in the US that all our employees have mobile devices. So we're now putting more insights and information and giving it to them so that they can, you know, they provide amazing experience if you've traveled in Alaska. And now they have the tools and they will have information about you. They will know what happened to you when you checked in. They will know when you called in 3 weeks ago, you know, what your experience was. So they're able to sort of read either the plane or read you and your anxiety level, and then appropriately, you know, get you to be more calmer. So the mobile is a big deal. Biometrics, obviously in our lounges with self-service. Machine learning we're using for sort of targeting our campaigns to see how we can get more conversion. Artificial intelligence we're actually using more in our operation side to look at air traffic control delays and how early can we predict it and make decisions, because that rolls down to guests and customers, because if you're informed too late. So a lot of things going on with new technology, but really focused on how do we make that experience seamless to you, and build sort of the value between the digital and the physical, because that's what something that we hope a lot of the disruptors are going to have a harder time. So that's our version sort of the moat, but really also build upon that trust that they're putting on us.
Thank you. You know, I was sitting one time with one of the Alaska pilot who was not in the cockpit, but he was sitting beside me, and I was talking to him. He mentioned, I can't remember exactly the number, but from the time the plane actually lands and comes into the gate, they have to do some 60 or 74 transaction check, and they have like 60 seconds to do that, because the plane is now, the seat belts are off and people are standing and they want to just go. But there are some 60 or 70 transactions, and he was saying how, technology, Alaska is using all these mobile devices there to kind of expedite them and do a lot of parallel checks. So it's really, really amazing.
And actually, if you look at, I think there's actually some YouTube videos out there. We have about 70-some points that we measure between every flight that happens. And so we're able to look at any point in time and say, are we seeing something? Did we open the door in time? Did we close the door? Did catering come in? Did the cleaners come in? Did we start boarding at the right time? So we can look for trends and right away sort of, start impacting. And that's why our reliability and operational performance is number one. So I'm hoping this is something that all of you would like to, and that's really, how do we make the airport security experience something that's not demeaning and dehumanizing to people, right? So I think as you go through that anxiety and then everything, you feel like you're sort of stripping down and putting stuff away. You don't know what's going to happen. So I dream of the day that you can just walk through security. They know you. They recognize you with whatever you have in your pockets. You don't have to take anything out, and you're just able to walk on. So if you can make that happen.
I'd put a plug in for Clear.
The Clear lines are going to become like the TSA pre-lines pretty soon. So.
I thought TSA was great, and then I moved over to Clear, and it's gonna, yes.
And you need both, by the way. So you need to take
Exactly,
the Clear and
you
then
have to
be in
have
front
both.
of the TSA pre.